And extra superstar here today, so welcome. Go ahead and Tay, start us off and get us introduced if you don't mind.
Well, as we mentioned, we're Fight Club for Business. We're a group of home service business owners, and we serve you all as business owners yourself. So what we do each week is we come together on a live show on Facebook, which also gets repurposed into a podcast. And we talk about business, we talk about marketing, we talk about finances, systems, and culture. And through that, you're able to really get to know the business owner that we have on the show. And today that's going to be Jeff. So I'll let Jeff kind of introduce himself if you guys don't know who he is or anything about his business. And then we'll kind of jump into the roundtable.
My name is Jeff Likes. I've been cleaning windows for over 15 years now, from California. And these ladies up here have helped me out with my business so much. So they have a lot of great advice.
Love it. And I'm Michelle Myers, co-founder of Pink Collars. And we put remote CSRs or customer service rock stars in your business, answering phones and texts and email and chat. So if that's something that you need, we do that remotely all over the country for home service businesses like yours.
And my name is Martha Woodward. I owned a maid service in a neighboring state for 13 years. And half of that time I was absentee owner because it was 100 miles away. And so I had to learn how to manage people. So my stick is I help people build happier workplaces. And I'm also co-founder of Quality Driven Software. So welcome to Fight Club. And Jeff will answer all of your finance needs.
All of your finance needs. And then I'm Taylor Maroney. I actually co-own a power washing company in West Palm, Florida, with my husband. And I worked in marketing for about 6 years. I actually worked for Mr. Pipeline, one of the vendors here, for about almost 2.5 years. And through that experience with them, I was able to really find my passion in helping business owners understand the analytics behind the numbers that get given to you from a marketing company. So there's a lot of data that gets thrown at you and just being able to understand it and then make decisions based upon that. So that's kind of my niche. And speaking of marketing, I'm gonna have to start with you, Jeff. Ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. So I don't know if y'all know Jeff very well. If you don't, Jeff actually has never spent a lot of money on marketing until this last year. So I'm going to kind of ask you, one, why did you guys not want to spend a lot of money on marketing in the beginning? And what was that budget in the beginning?
Budget, I'm not 100% sure on, but we only did like 1 to 2% of our budget. I never actually understood marketing. But I did a lot of networking. When I started my business, I joined the Chamber of Commerce. I joined a service club. I'm a member of Kiwanis, been with them for over 11 years now. And I just networked with a lot of people. I clean windows very well, and the people of my community just really enjoyed my personality. So I had a lot of word of mouth referrals and just never really needed to advertise. I spent a little bit on little coupon books, 10% discounts here and there, and people just ate it in, and
Awesome. So Jeff said he did about 1 to 2% of his budget allocated towards marketing. So on average, you're going to see that most business owners tend to do about 10 to 11, and sometimes will exceed that percentage if they are wanting to grow the company and they know that they have the funds to do it. So they'll go a little bit higher because they know the work's going to come in because they've dialed in their marketing system. Another thing he mentioned was he really focused on the network marketing side of things, which is great if you're at a point in your business where you're smaller. You're maybe at the $100,000, $200,000 marker. You want to make sure that you are still network marketing even if you are larger. But that's a great way to be able to get into your community, get to know other business owners who can then be able to connect you to friends, to family, to additional colleagues that can use the service that you're offering. As far as we're going to move forward to this year, you guys have decided to completely rebrand the company, as we can see in clothing that Jeff is wearing right now, which is awesome. You can see on the truck behind me, or vans, excuse me, that prior to the rebrand, Jeff had pretty much a magnet on the side of the van, which is useful. That's what a lot of business owners start with their brand. It's affordable. It gets the point across. But we can see now that he's moved towards a full van wrap with very bright, vibrant colors and an awesome kind of caricature. Do you have the caricature on you?
No.
But he's on the side of the van of Jeff himself cleaning a window. So can you talk us through, because this is a very intense process. Rebranding your company is not something that happens in a month's time frame. This is, 6 months. You guys are what, almost a year in?
To the rebrand?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. No, I think we started in, I guess we did start.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think
was,
you might be almost a year now.
Almost a year, and yeah, it was the van wraps started in November, so that took a long period of time.
So as you can see, he's almost a year in from the initial, I want to start this rebrand. So can you walk us through the process that your company took you through when starting the rebrand? What are some of the questions they kind of asked you to think about?
So first off, we started this coaching program, Breakthrough Academy, and our coach, the first question she asked was okay, what vans look like? How are they wrapped? And we don't have them wrapped. And her jaw just dropped, and it's no, you need to do that. And thanks to COVID, all the free government money, we decided let's just throw that towards the rebranding. So we found a company through Tommy Mello's podcast, Kick Charge, and they walked us through you don't need anything flashy, just a good picture, phone number, website, and the name of what you do. Because once you start getting everything, all the services you provide, website, Facebook, everything, it just gets jumbled up. And when you drive down the street, everybody's trying to look and read everything on there, and they just catch one little bit of it. So we went simple, name, phone number, website, and that's it. And
I love it. They also went with, an orange color, which I know Megan was super hesitant about. But most window cleaners and pressure washers, which I'm going to speak from my business, we tend to go with a very blue palette when it comes to color. We like navies, we like light blues, any royal blues, and then we kind of coordinate colors upon that, which tends to be what everyone else in the industry is doing for the most part, because everyone thinks water, they think blue, they think, oh yeah, they'll think of a pressure washer. What Jeff did and their company did that was different is they threw a vibrant orange into this color. Now, does anyone else in your area have any orange for the most part?
No.
Exactly my point. You want to be able to look at other companies, not just window cleaning companies, but even AC companies. Look at lawn care companies. Look at any service industry in your area. Take a look at their color scheme and see how you can be visibly different just by choosing a color that no one else has. Because now they know when Jeff's employees drive down the street and they see that orange stripe across the van with windows and gutters, that's Jeff likes clean windows, and they can make sure they do a great job for me because I know they have a high quality service. So that's kind of where it's really important to take the branding and rebranding process of your company very seriously. If you have chosen colors or a name for your business that's just very similar to other areas and other service providers in your area, think about changing it up. Think about a way that you can brand that to be different and have that differentiator. Mike McCallum has a book called Get Different. It's a great book that talks exactly to this topic. It's in regards to differentiating yourself from your market and how to make sure you're doing that. So I could talk about your whole brand with you, but I'm going to let you talk about what your wife would talk to you about, which is finances a little bit. Yeah, well,
all the things, because this is what you look like when you spend a lot of money. You're very happy, right? You're happy.
Company that do you rebrand?
Kick Charge.
Question for you. So I hear this conversation with you two all the time where you're wanting a tool or some kind of a piece of equipment, and Megan's saying, no, that's not in the budget and we can't get that till X. So you can talk about how you all decide what you purchase and how you're going to purchase it. And I know you have to go get permission from the accountant, but.
No, that's a great question. So, Profit First by Mike McCullough. Amazing book, changes your whole entire thinking of money and all that. We implemented that several years ago, and in the book he talks about, like, do you need this piece of equipment? Think about it overnight. Next day, if it's still in your mind, give it another day. Like, give it a week. If it's still running through your mind after that many days, then most likely you do need it, and you. But if you forget about it, then you don't need it, so you don't have to buy it.
Ooh, I like that. Wait a week. I've never heard that one. That's good. That's really good. Really good. Finance. Let's ask you about some of the systems that you use and what you pay for to kind of get this whole thing going. Like, what are businesses built? What are you spending money on every single month? Like software or tools other than tools in the field. What else are you using financially that helps you get forward?
Oh, this is more towards you. We
Yeah.
spend a lot of money in systems. So software, training programs, like any system we have in our business is going to be a software product that really helps us systemize our business.
Okay, let's move to that screen. Because all your guys work out in the field. I know you guys do not have like a home office or a big shop, correct? Correct. Because you meet in a storage facility or storage yard. Explain how that works for folks.
So we don't need a big fancy warehouse or offices. We have our vans that holds all our tools. We found a space that's an RV boat storage yard. Super cheap rent. He allowed me to build a tough shed on the property in one of the spots, and it's a 10 by 12 that can hold my power washers and leaf blowers and stuff like that, and soaps and all the other products. So we meet there every morning. We go over our schedule. They send them off, and that's it. And they meet up.
That's it.
That's it.
So you guys work on Jobber, right? Does
We do.
everybody have Jobber on their phones? Is
They
that how all the techs work? And then do they have their jobs that they're responsible for on their phone, or do you give them paper, or is it all digital?
All digital.
Everything's digital.
Everything's digital.
Oh, I love this. I love this. A lot of people use checklists or van load-in diagrams. Do you have anything like that that's digital, or is that paper
That's still paper. We're
Okay.
actually working on that. There's an app. What's the name of it? I
Ooh,
just
let's look. I
downloaded
love
that.
it. No, that's
Just
good
downloaded
because I
it
know that's a
yesterday.
pain point for people, like the van load-in and all the equipment.
Sortly.
Sortly.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So it's you can barcode things, and
Okay.
when they scan the barcode from their phone, it will pull up a checklist, and they can go through that checklist and check it off and make sure everything's there.
I love it.
So that's
What's it
a
called?
Sortly.
Sortly.
So that's a new one that I'll be working on here.
Hop in for 2
Yeah,
seconds.
please.
If anyone does Christmas lights as well, I don't know if anyone does Christmas lights in here. That's a great app for Christmas lights as well. When it comes to organizing the boxes, the lights, you can do it by customer's home. If you have someone that's a repeat customer, you can also do it just based upon the type of lights themselves. That was actually where I first heard about Sortly, was from a Christmas light company.
So the tough shed, it's got me thinking. I love organizing. So I'm a wicked organizer in my garage. So tell me what the tough shed sort of looks like. And when you pull things, now that you're going to use Sortly, I imagine it'll be digitally, sort of like I can't remember what I'm trying to say, kind of like you're pulling it off a shelf, right? Like you're shopping. How do you keep an understanding of what's actually in inventory currently? Is that still on paper as well?
No, we actually don't keep a list of
You
any of the
don't?
inventory now.
Really? Okay.
So what we do is I have a weekly checklist for vans. They go through every single nook and cranny of what is stored on that van,
Got it.
and they write down what they need. And basically, once I get that, they do that every Monday morning. I go through the list, and I got the week to restock that van and
Okay.
do the same thing over again. So yeah, the Sortly, it's gonna, actually reconstruct everything that I have. So
That's fantastic. So once they're on the pay checklist, who does it go to? Does it go to you or does it go to your admin?
right now it goes to me, but we are currently creating a schedule for a field supervisor. So in the future it will go to him, and that will be one of his responsibilities.
Awesome. I love it. One other pain point that I hear about in systems is just van maintenance. How do you kind of tackle that when you don't have a shop to work on the vans yourself? Like, do you have sort of like a maintenance plan or calendar? What's your system kind of for that?
That's actually fantastic
Yeah?
too. This is a new thing I'll be starting as well. So normally my van is probably about a mile away from the nearest shop that we go to get oil change, brakes changed, and stuff like that. So I just recently bought an electric skateboard, but drop the van off, ride all the way back,
This
bring
is so
another
you.
van.
This is so you.
But I just got brakes changed the other day, and the lady asked me, she's like, "We do a fleet service. Like, is that something you'd be interested in?" And
What?
so now I'm going to sign up for that, and they'll just come whenever. They'll have records of when they need to be changed and maintenance, and they'll
Wow.
pick them up themselves.
You buy or you lease?
We buy.
But skateboard as a system is a new one. I've not heard that one.
I love skateboarding, and I would do it on a regular skateboard, and it got really tired. And like, I want an electric skateboard for Christmas, and we bought a nice one, and it goes
I
about
love it.
25 miles an
I
hour.
love it. I love it.
It's
5
fast.
miles an hour.
That's
Wow.
super
Yeah,
fast.
it's really fast. It's good.
Okay, so we've kind of hit on software, we've hit on product and inventory, and we've hit on vans. Is there anything else that you've systematized in your business this last year? Because I know Megan likes to try a lot of stuff. So is there anything you've tried that you really liked and that's kind of stuck and you're seeing that you're going to take it into 2022?
In the last year, not off the top of my head.
No?
No, because all the systems I've been using for the last few years have been really running
nice.
everything. Yeah. It's new things like Sortly or like the new
Stuff
things
on the
that-
horizon.
Yeah.
I know she just worked on Hire Who, and I know that was something kind of relatively new, right? So talk about hiring, because that's a pain point for a lot of people, and putting a system in hiring is really helpful. So maybe at a high level, explain what Hire Who sort of is helping you do.
Hire Who is really saving the headache of going through applications and narrowing it down to that one specific person.
Okay.
It also allows that applicant to schedule themselves on your schedule, so you don't get a lot of no-shows. Since we've started it, it interlinks with Indeed, so you put your web site
What's it called?
in Hire Who.
Hire Who.
Hire who, like WHO.
WHO.
Hire who? Who?
HIREWHO.
Like an owl.
Who. Yep. Like an hour.
So the cool thing about that is somebody will be looking for a job on Indeed. They click your link, it takes them straight to your hiring page on your website. They fill out an application, and these questions that we ask in the application are knockout questions. If they answer them wrong, it automatically rejects them. It doesn't push them into the next stage. It sends auto texts saying like, "Hey, thanks for the application. We're going over your application now. Give us a quick second and tell us a little bit about yourself." And that kind of shows you like, is this person gonna say something? And then you get to read like how they write and kind of see how they'll interact with you. And if you like them, it pushes them into the next stage to where they are allowed to schedule themselves to an interview. Once it pushes that to the interview stage, it says, "Congratulations, we'll meet you at this time, looking forward to it." And then you just look at your schedule, you get notifications, and you just show up at that time they scheduled it.
Don't you have an automated text that goes out to them saying, that you're gonna be waiting for them and like, are they gonna show up kind of text?
Yeah, so you can actually create the responses to whatever you want. And in that text, like it says, if you're not, like, please be here by that time. If you're a minute late, we're gonna be on to the next one. So, yeah.
Well, I thought I remembered you sending out a text saying, basically, hey,
Before text.
yeah, it was like, hey, I'm gonna be hanging out. I don't wanna be hanging out by myself.
Yeah, like hanging out by myself.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
Remember? We remember.
Yeah, we all remember.
But I thought it was really
We
clever.
change it up so much.
It was really clever because you had a very personal element to it. Like, hey, I'm going to be waiting at this restaurant to meet you, blah, 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 blah. Don't leave me hanging by myself. If you're not coming, let me know.
Yeah, that's
It was kind of like that, but it was automated, so it was.
But it sounded like Jeff.
It sounded like you wrote it that morning,
Yeah.
but it was automated.
Yeah, so, okay, I remember now. Yeah, so, that morning, like, or that day or night before, we'll send out a text and like, hey, I'm excited to meeting you. I'll be here. Please let us know if you have any changes or anything, so I'm not sitting here by myself. So yeah, that's,
Yeah.
you can scout things like that.
So,
Yeah.
how long have you had it, and how many applicants, and how many people have you hired?
So I've had it for, a little over a year now.
Mhm.
I've hired 8 people through it, and I get applicants. I get like at least 3 to 4 applicants a day through it.
That's great.
You mentioned it, the hiring app linking to Indeed,
It does.
but the bullet point features you were talking about, like the knockout questions, the scheduling, are those features from the app, or is that part of them moving from the app to the Indeed app?
It's from the app. So
Okay.
once they're looking through Indeed, once they click on my link, Indeed's done.
Okay.
They're straight to my website answering the questions from there.
Well, it's a perfect segue to move you on to Martha, and she's going to talk to you about people. Thanks so much, Jeff.
Definitely.
Okay, so I'm checking my watch because I could ask this guy about culture for a long time. Before we go on to people, on finance, one of the things that I know about your company is you're tracking a lot of KPIs now.
Megan is trying.
No,
I
you
really
have
hope
to,
Megan's watching.
you have to sit down and put in your own numbers. I do know these things.
She does make me put in my own numbers.
Yeah.
I'll sit there with her while she's helping me.
But you might share some of the KPIs that you all keep track of in this spreadsheet on, I'm assuming a weekly basis, or is it monthly?
Well, we're working on a system, what's it, higher output. They're going to create, it's like a smart computer that will pull up all my KPIs from Jobber. So my office manager, she has a weekly revenue goal to meet, and it's really hard to try to find it through Jobber. So she'll be able to just click on this and it will pull up all our KPIs in one page.
So you look at sales conversion rates,
Definitely, I know,
leads.
I was talking to Megan yesterday, I think the sales close rate is definitely one you guys watch as
Yeah,
well.
we watch the close rate.
I think she said she likes that at about like 70 to 75%, just because their admin does all of their sales for them, so they don't have a salesperson in the field. So that's why they really keep the percentage higher than, like the 50 to 60 that some people tend to go with.
Plus we use Responsibid, and they're an awesome sales program that really helps that out.
And Kurt's here. If anybody has questions about Responsibid, just go down and visit them in the trade show because he's here to help you.
good
But
stuff
yeah, we
there.
do follow quite a few KPIs. So the sales, the leads, our close rate, the weekly revenue goals, and our QDS scores.
Yay, QDS.
Okay, so now we'll talk about people.
All right.
All right.
That's all people.
I want to
Megan's
say,
done.
yeah, Megan's done. I want to say we met about 3.5 years ago, something like that. Yeah. And I remember pretty vividly the first call you made to me asking some questions about, people culture. Do you remember that?
I don't remember the question.
I
I would imagine the question would be like, how do I get my guys to work?
Yeah, that was probably, I think that was one of them. Yeah, yeah. And I remember you remember about how many employees you had back then?
Probably around 6.
Mm-hmm. And so I remember you were just, the overall theme was you were fed up with your employees and you absolutely hated that part of the job. And you were trying to figure out how to get them to do what they're supposed to do. And I remember talking to you about like some of the touchy-feely culture stuff, and he was like, why do I have to do that? Can't they just do their job?
That's what I pay them for.
Yep, you said that, and I said, well, how's that working for you? And then you pause and you go, it's not. And so really, I have watched you just make tremendous changes in your business. It is so cool to watch your transformation as being a leader. You were kind of a frustrated dictatorial authority back then. You were just, and now you're like, look at this cool thing that the employees bought me for Boss Day or whatever. And
Not Boss Day. I still don't get anything for Boss
well,
Day.
what was that?
Christmas. There's a Christmas.
So nice.
Well, and you got to think, your employees probably don't even know when Boss Day is.
It doesn't. I barely know when Boss Day is.
Exactly. So you can't fault them for that. But yeah. So let's talk about what things were like back then. Like, what problems did you have?
Guys coming in to work late, not showing up on Mondays or Fridays, dragging their feet, and yeah, just bad attitudes.
Or not showing up at all?
Or not showing up at all, and just unhappy.
How was quality?
We had a lot of callbacks, always for missed things, lost tools, dirty tracks, windows.
Did you feel like you pretty much had to be with them to make sure that they did what they were supposed to do?
Yeah. So I would always show up, do all their touch-ups, make sure they didn't leave anything behind, just constantly staying with them.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't forget anything or miss anything.
And now, let's fast forward. And so now do you go out on all their jobs?
No.
About how much do you go out and see their work?
Maybe once every 4 or 5 months.
Wow. So,
And that's only if something's really, really bad that they didn't understand what was going on.
so what do you think the change was? What do you think, how did you go from really having to be on every job to make sure it's done correctly to now going out once in a blue moon? No.
No, Martha really helped me change my attitude because before I was one of those bosses that crack the whip, you do what you're told, I'm paying you for a reason, this is your job, you show up on time, you work hard, like that's what you do. Martha, when we met Martha, my wife was just in awe. She followed her around everywhere and was like, we need you in our life. And Martha had this culture class that was a 6-month course.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a long course. And
just once a month though.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like on to
yeah, it was
college.
like every day for 6 months. No, and her ideas and processes just really changed my mind. And I was really hesitant at the beginning, like, no, that's corny. I'm not going to do that. They're not going to like that. These are tough guys. They're not going to want to
Spin a wheel.
Yeah,
prize
spin a wheel or
Yeah.
win gift cards and money and lottery tickets. They don't want that. So I took a chance and I introduced, I think the first time I was going out of town for a week or 2 weeks, and I created that game board.
Mhm.
So every day I was gone, they would move up a step. It was kind of like a Candyland thing. And if they reached the end, they each got a $200 bonus. If everybody made it to the end, they got a $500 bonus. So it really opened up their eyes. They're like, oh, this is fun. And once I saw that, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I was like home alone making this, embarrassed, like, what the heck am I doing? Like, this is so corny. And yeah, the guys loved it and it worked. So after that, I introduced the spin wheel, and every month, at the end of the month, if they have great quality score and they showed up on time every day and showed up every day, they would get to spin the wheel. And if they showed up and were on time, they get to spin it a second time. And I let them choose what kind of gifts they want to win on that spin wheel. So I'm not picking it for them. It's things they actually want. And it's a really fun activity we do every month. And recently we just really started focusing on culture events, team building exercises, and I took just a couple weeks ago everybody to a rock climbing gym, and they had a blast. And it's really changed my perspective on how to treat employees and team members.
Yeah, and let's be clear, he could have listened to anybody that would have been talking about these things. And, honestly, the difference was that, sure, you went through that program, but again, you could have gone through any culture program.
Yeah.
The difference was you started implementing and changing things.
Yes.
And because I have tons of people that go through the program, they just don't do the work. But yeah, and so it's been really cool to watch you go from feeling like you have to be there every day, feeling like you cannot leave town because things will absolutely fall apart, to you work 11 hours a week now? Yeah, maybe. So
and the work I do is actually fun work that I enjoy doing. It's not like I love cleaning windows, but now I get to play around with new systems and new culture ideas and fun activities for the team and just stuff like that.
Yeah. So, getting your culture in order is really, it's for the employees, but you get a huge benefit in return as well. So it's been pretty fun to watch you. It really has.
It's been fun for me too.
Yeah. I mean,
you really have to put in the work if you want it. If you say you're going to do it, just do it. But if you don't, you're just going to be miserable and unhappy employees until you do actually do it.
Yeah. You've done a great job, I tell you. So
protege.
That's awesome.
All right, well, that's all I had. That wasn't hard, was it?
You did great.
Well, now we
Megan?
get to do some homework.
That's right.
Oh, yes.
So if this is your first time kind of listening to us speak either live or if you have listened to our show, we do assign homework once a week. And this is just for accountability. You've listened to Jeff speak now for about 30 minutes, almost 40 minutes. Talk about a lot of different things. So we're going to each assign a piece of homework. Jeff, you can if you want. And this is just to allow you to pick one of them. Pick one that just spoke to you today. If it's something from marketing, do that. If it's something from finances, go ahead with that. Systems or culture. One of these is going to help move the needle forward in your business this week and take you one step closer to being like Jeff, where you're only working 11 hours a week. So for marketing homework, we talked a lot about the branding that Jeff's been doing and the rebrand of his company. And so I want you guys to, if branding or marketing and differentiating yourself in your market is something you need to do and focus on, definitely want you to go onto Amazon and get the book, Get Different by Mike Calwitz. It's a great read. It's an easy read. And it's going to help you answer the questions to how am I different from the other competitors in my market? And how can I use that in my marketing to showcase those aspects?
Love it.
Do you want to give
You want to go or you want to go last?
Any
Jeff?
finance homework?
He's
You'll
gonna go last.
Okay, great. So systems homework, we heard of a couple really cool new tools, Hire Who and Sortly. I have been introduced to Sortly too, so I'm gonna need to learn how to use that one. So I'm gonna put a link in our Facebook group to Sortly on how to sort of organize your inventory. I think it's a really cool idea. So I'm gonna have everybody check that out, and I'm gonna do it as well this week, so Sortly.
Okay. And your people homework is make a list of what's broken, like what's not working well. So back then, Jeff would have put, people are coming in late, people are not showing up, make that list. And then I would read some books on culture. You can, tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a class here on the 6 culture. It's like a checklist. We're going to go through each section related to culture, and that may help you come up with some ideas of what you need to fix. For those of you who are not here, then reach out to me on Facebook or Martha at Quality Driven Software. But if you reach out in the next, pardon me?
Can you say that one more time, please?
Martha at qualityDrivenSoftware.com. But I will warn you, if you reach out in the next couple of weeks, our annual conference is coming up, and it may be a couple of weeks before I answer. I'll start it.
She's not lying. She did that to me before.
Yeah.
Busy. Not lying. She's busy
For
bee.
sure.
So Jeff, what would you like to assign?
So you guys are all here for one reason, and that's to learn something. You guys are getting a lot of information from this conference. My homework is to at least implement one thing you take from this, because if you just come here, you learn all this stuff, you write things down, you throw it in your bag, and you forget about it, then you're not going to do anything. So it doesn't have to be everything, but if you could find one thing that you could add to your business, that's one more step you're going to be better at it.
Love it.
I want a copy of your quality spin wheel.
Oh, yeah, it's good. The spin wheels are fun.
Do any of you guys have
Yeah,
questions?
questions, please.
Yeah, I got a question. So if hiring being like a big thing, since the implementations, what's your longest tenure employee, like turnover? Does that decrease? Because obviously you said you had no shows or late, so what's the improvement on that?
So far, it's still a work in progress because we did have pretty high turnover rates. But my longest year, he's actually here with me. This is the first time I was ever able to bring anybody with me, so that's awesome. He's been with me for 2 years. I have another guy, he's been with me for a little over a year now. And then the rest of the team, they're all brand new from this Hire Who system, so we'll see. But they all have dreams and goals, and I'm not going to stop them from that. And my 1 year guy, he just put in his 2 weeks notice the other day, and I'm happy for him. When he started, he was going to school as an electrician, and I knew he was going to be leaving soon. So like those are the turnovers I want. I don't want the no-shows, the I quit, you suck. Like, I want the nice 2 weeks notice, and that turnover is great.
It's great. Anyone else?
Yeah, so I had a question. You had mentioned earlier that you don't use an office or anything like that, your location, you don't have a shop, I guess, or whatever, you just have that little tough shed and everything. But you did mention that you had an office manager and your wife obviously does a lot of review and stuff too. So is that all done at home and you guys are just doing all these things like everyone's at their own house, or you guys have an actual office?
Yeah. So our office manager, she lives in Missouri, Missouri. I do a lot of my bookkeeping. My wife just helps me do it. Like, she motivates me to do it. But yeah, it's all done from home.
That's great. Anybody else? Yeah,
You
go ahead.
hired, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Can you tell me the name of the book again?
Yeah, Get Different by Mike McCowitz.
Pretty much any book
Mike
from Mike
McCowitz.
Yeah.
Like McCallowitz, they're all great.
Yeah, anything
Any
he
book.
writes is gold.
Yeah.
Just buy all of them.
And if you listen to them on Audible, he narrates them,
Yeah.
and he's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's a fun read or listen.
You got an answer?
Question. First one is, you have people with experience, is that what you're looking for, or it doesn't matter for you?
I've had really bad experience with experienced people, so because I'm really into my systems now, I hire inexperienced people and I get to train them my way. So that's all they know. I did recently hire a guy who has 2 years experience, but through this hire who process, it really showed me his personality. So I knew he would be a good fit for our team, and I was right, and he's a great guy.
The second question is, what's the dynamic about the spinning the wheel that you have for your employees?
The dynamic of it,
Yeah, how does it work?
Like, explain how it works.
Like, how do they get to spin the wheel?
yeah. So if they have a great quality score, we use QDS, so that actually sends out surveys to every client after they get work, and they get to rate the team members. So they're not leaving a review on like Yelp or anything like that. This is just personally just for the team. So they have to keep a 4.5 quality score with a response rate of 40%. So the team members have to like let the clients know, like, hey, we get bonus if you leave a great review. Please let us know how we did as a team, just so they can build up their scores. So at the end of the month, if their quality score and response rate are golden, they get 1 spin. Then they get another spin for attendance. If they showed up every day that month and they weren't late that month, they get an extra spin.
What's QDS?
Quality driven software.
Anybody else? Yeah, please.
So you said you run your business out of like a storage area type thing.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know if you've given thought to this, do you think actually having a brick and mortar would even help more with the culture? And just the reason I'm saying that is, from my experience, I have a company similar size to your 7 guys, and 3 months ago, we moved into a brick and mortar, and I've just seen like the morale, it's just it was different. It's like they have a home and they feel like they have a home, and it's just, I've seen their morale kind of uplift a little bit. So is that something you maybe given thought to, or are you just like?
I've thought about it over time, and recently we have decided to find like a little space that we can have like our safety meetings indoors, all the training indoors, and the space that I rent from, they do have space there. So I'm trying to work out a deal with getting some of that. But other than that, like, we've been in this spot for the last 4 years now, and they show up with smiles on their face. They start loading up the vans, and we just do a quick run through of the schedule, and they're on their way.
And one thing to consider, because in the maid service, I had all sorts of offices, but one thing to consider is that the money that you put into office space and utilities and all of those things takes away from what you can put towards your people. You know, so I agree there is an image, there's a, but you know, to be quite honest, I feel like that image is, makes a bigger impact for people who are interviewing with you that don't know you versus somebody that's been working with you. So,
We have, my wife has an office in town, so when I do my interviews, I usually do it at her office.
Okay. Because that's like you said, we're having the safety meetings, the team meetings, that's the hardest thing that is very hard.
Not necessarily. I have a thing set up, and I got chairs there to sit in. So the only time it's bad is when it's raining or it's freezing cold or it's super hot. I'm from California, so we can get into the triple digits early in the day. So yeah, that's the indoor spaces has been standing out to me. But being in California, rent is so expensive. Like I'd be spending about $1,000 for a small 200 square foot space, and it's just hard to find a good spot for a
I'm
big
located
team.
an hour north of New York City, in Connecticut, by Stanford, and for rent, it's $15 a foot, and that's triple rent, so you gotta pay the property taxes on top of that. Well, do you have snow where you're located or no?
In the mountains, yeah.
So, like, so you get snow, and one thing the guys really like, used to hate clearing the trucks off, and now they can park them inside. So that was something they really liked too, is that the truck loaded, they could just go out and work. So that was something that I like positive feedback that I just found in just a short time.
Yeah, we don't get snow like that. We have nice weather all year round. We get like rain 5 days out of the year, and it's like the only thing we have to battle is 30-degree weather, which some of you guys are like, that's nice.
That's super nice.
weather.
The reason I asked is because I saw the picture on right, they got the hoodies, looks like they got some warm pants on and stuff,
Yeah.
so that's why.
Yeah, it's about 60 degrees.
I was saying, I was in
So cold, so cold. Okay, anybody else?
Yeah.
Those are great questions. Thank you so much. Typically, we close with a quote, but today I wanted to share, we have an action planner, so go ahead and throw your phones up on this QR code. If you're interested, it'll link to our website. It'll give you kind of a framework on which to run your day. Taylor put it together for Fight Club, and it's fantastic. So feel free to download that. That's a little takeaway for you. I'll wait till everybody gets that QR code if they're interested, and then the next screen will be how to subscribe to our podcast. We're on every week, and we have business owners just like Jeff and just like you, and we love if you are a business that has a unique cool retail or a vendor that will come and share something, please reach out to any of us. No, our podcast. It's fun to have cool people.
So I gotta
Please.
this is the first time maybe at the
Okay,
show.
great.
You guys maybe
Live. Thank you. Thanks, Taylor. Great. Yay. Okay.
That